Welcome to Keys to Real Estate with the House Lady. I'm your host, Estrella Carter, here in Minnesota. This podcast is all about helping you open the right doors. Whether you're buying your first home, investing in a property, or just curious about the market. And if you're tuning in from outside Minnesota, no worries. I can connect you with a trusted realtor through my national and international network. Each episode, I'll share insights, stories, and conversations with experts and clients to give you the tools and confidence you need to live your best life through real estate. So let's get started. Hey, welcome. This is Estrella Carter, aka the House Lady. And today, as we wrap up Hispanic Heritage Month, I wanted to share a story that's very close to my heart, my mom's. My mom, Nina, aka Beans, is Mexican American and grew up right here in Minnesota in a family that embodied culture, work, and entrepreneurship. Her mother, my grandmother, I called her Mama, well, we all called her Mama, was born in Minnesota. She owned a restaurant, investment properties, and a family home on Laurel Avenue in St. Paul. She set an example of independence and home ownership that continues to inspire us today. So we're going to talk about my mom's experience growing up Mexican American in Minnesota, what home ownership and business ownership have meant to her, and how her story ties into the legacy of Hispanic women building wealth and community through real estate. So, welcome, Mom, aka Beans.
Thank you for having me. And I want to start out by saying congratulations for starting your podcast. Another something on your belt because you wear so many.
Well, thank you. Can I give myself an applause?
Yes, you know.
I have my mom rolling over here. So let's start off with a little. So why do people call you Beans? How did you get that nickname?
It came from my brother, and then I noticed growing up, some of my, family friends would start calling me that, and then people would rhyme with it, and so I had anything that rhymes with beans. But I thought it was fitting because I love every single bean except for lima beans.
Wow, I don't like lima beans either, so that's interesting. I guess it's just genetics.
Oh.
Well, before we get started, I wanted to start off with an excerpt from this book that is called Barrios Norteños, and it's about the first migrant Mexican workers that came here to Minnesota, and your grandparents are in this book, and I just thought it was appropriate.
Oh, let me interrupt you because Didn't you come across this when you were at the U of M?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, I was at the University of Minnesota. I graduated with my bachelor's in speech communications and Chicano studies. And while my grandmother, Mama, she was still alive, I was reading this book to her. And she said, stop right there. And I'm like, what? She said, say those names to me again. And I said, Francisco and Dolores Guzman. She said, those are my parents. She had no idea about this book or that her parents were even acknowledged in this book.
Yes, no one did.
I know. So your sister has I had the book, but then your sister has it. So then I had to order another one about a week ago. So
How appropriate that right now. I mean, you thought of that, and we can,
yes,
hear some more.
I know. So I just want to read before because I just think it's very appropriate because we're talking about our roots here in the United States and celebrating our culture and real estate. But so here we go. It's right here. Okay. Throughout the Midwest, efforts by federal immigration agents and local officials to remove Mexicans were much more widespread than written record indicates. Many local roundups did not receive attention, including one involving Senor Francisco Guzman, which is my mom's grandfather. Born in Guanajuato, Senor Guzman and his young bride, Senora Dolores Guzman, who grew up in Ojinaga, crossed the border of Presidio, Texas in 1922. They worked at different jobs in the state, especially the cotton fields, until 1929 when they signed a contract in Fort Worth for the sugar beet fields around Chaska, Minnesota, where they remained for several years. Around 1932, Senora Guzman recalled, and quote, "After we finished our work, the farmer that we worked for told us that they were rounding up all the Mexicans in Chaska to take them back to Mexico. He took us to Chaska to see if they would take us back," unquote. So to ensure worker departures, the company would not hand over paychecks until they boarded the trucks that were to take them away. Senor Guzman, again, my mom's grandfather, Senor Guzman instead went to the company offices to demand his pay, and to his surprise, he received his check. As Senora Guzman observed, quote, "We did not know why they gave the paycheck, to him and not the others. We did not know what was going on," unquote. But as a result, the Guzmans did not board the trucks that took the others to Mexico. They were not personally opposed to the repatriation. Senor Guzman recalls, quote, "We did not mind going back to Mexico because that was our country. But they preferred to stay in Minnesota. After receiving their pay, the family traveled to St. Paul, where they settled permanently."
That's a hallelujah moment.
Yes.
It's ay Dios mío. It explains so much. Like I said, the start of the circle of a great life for all of us.
Right.
And we called my grandpa Papa.
Papa, yes.
So Papa Guzman.
And what did Papa say to them? Because he wasn't playing. I mean, for that's like powerful. Like everyone else had to leave. So there was more than him to say, "Hand me my check."
Exactly. How powerful. And then it goes on and on and on through our generations of, my uncles doing things and, our family conquering things and having the strength and the drive to continue and I guess not take no.
Right. Mom, what does Hispanic Heritage Month mean to you personally?
Well, it means a lot because when I was in grade school, I don't remember any celebration of anything for Mexicans.
And that was
for
the
Latinos.
60s? Or when?
Yes.
She gave me the, well, no, just to give so people can understand, because
yes, it was the 60s. So it means a lot to see, how far we've come, the celebrations that we share that many other cultures come to watch and be involved in. And I find it interesting to see other, we all celebrate something almost the same, I think. We all share our grandparents, ingredients or, the stories, the hard work, anything that makes it thrive more. And so
Yeah.
when we think we're different, we really kind of are alike. And it came from, I think, old school great grandparents and onward that, and we're losing that today. So it's important to keep it alive.
Yes, absolutely. So you grew up Mexican American right here in Minnesota. What was that experience like, and what stands out to you about your childhood?
I didn't, well, I didn't feel different. We didn't have all this school violence, and we didn't have the internet, which a lot of hate starts with these poor children today being harassed in another way. I didn't have any of that. We were all equal. I don't care what color you were. I was called Nina. I wasn't called anything else. So that was a good thing. And the other good thing is being a little Mexican girl here is that my parents were bilingual. So I grew up speaking English first, which really, and all of my siblings, so it really helped us as an advantage.
Yes. Do you think living in the community of St. Paul, Minnesota, or the Rondo community, it was more, you said everyone was equal. That culture was like that. It was like all the families came together regardless of maybe color, because there was a predominantly more of an African American community, but Asian, and then there was Asians, and then of course Mexicans and Asians. So
when I was a little girl in the neighborhood, it was more white. When I was a little girl, I remember. Well, I don't remember. I was an infant, but we lived in that Rondo neighborhood until I was 12. So it changed halfway through, and it seemed more the white people moved out, and then more black people moved in. And so I grew up half with and half not. And there was no Mexicans in my neighborhood. So the only time I really saw Mexicans is when I went to visit my cousins.
In the west side.
Well, they didn't live on the west side either.
Oh, okay.
So
St. Paul.
North St. Paul.
St. Paul Park.
Yes. And my grandparents lived in the Cathedral Hill area. And then they moved over by the St. Luke's Church area off of Griggs. So I knew Mexican when I walked into my grandparents' home or being with my cousins.
Interesting.
Otherwise, I was just Nina. When I go to my neighborhood and go to my schools, and, I had mostly black friends in grade school, in high school, part of my high school, because then I ended up going to Humboldt, which was on the west side, where I never lived, and was in a school full of Mexicans, which I kind of dug that. I thought that was it was a whole flip.
Wow, that's great. So tell us a little bit more about Mama, your mother. She was Mexican and she was born in Minnesota, and I was gonna have to let people know that, because they'll ask me, well, your mom's Mexican. Where is she from? Here. Oh, well, where's her mom from? Here. So, and she owned both a restaurant and rental property and her own home. What kind of example did she set for you as a woman and as a mother?
Oh, my goodness. She was a great mother. She was a great listener. And everything she taught me, I thought I just gravitated to. And I'm not the only one. There's many people, even all the years in the restaurant business, that people came as high school and older and married and their kids older and coming to say hi and see, where's Mama at?
Yes.
Yeah.
I recall that as well. Tell us a little bit more, like, how did you observe? I mean, she was just this little giant.
Yes, she was.
And
she had a great spirit.
Yes. And she was just so resilient. How, from your perspective or from your experience, how did she do what she did and then still took care of the family?
I guess she followed her father's footsteps. You better give me that check. No, that's the little powerhouse, because she was only like 5'3". The little powerhouse in her, and she instilled that I believe in all her children. It was like just wisdom. Just she was well read. I'm thankful that she was bilingual. It didn't hold us back, because there was no Spanish immersion, no Spanish, nothing on packaging, or so. If we were only Spanish speaking, it would have been a struggle.
Yes, that's interesting, and I've seen that, and I believe that, and it's sad, but it's
I
true.
see it today. Even
Yes.
people who are here, or in the last 15 years, I've run into people who they don't speak any English, and I thought, wow, that's really, this. It's sad, because
Yeah.
it's going to take them a while to get to where they need to get.
Right.
So it was a blessing, really. Mama was truly a gift from God.
Yes, absolutely. So, how do you think her influence shaped your views on home ownership, business, and independence?
Oh my God. She was, like I said, she should have been a realtor, because she was looking for, okay, I know you don't know this, but the St. Paul Pioneer Press would have the Sunday paper, and it was like 3 inches, maybe 2 inches, 2.5 inches deep. And on the back came in sections. The whole back page had homes. You could look for homes. They're all little pictures and what they are and where they're at. And she would sit there and look at them and circle them, like she's actually looking for another house, and she already had 2 homes. I mean, living right now in 2 homes. And I thought, she's doing it for fun, but her curiosity is, why do these houses cost this? And let me see where they're at and what they're worth. And so when I started looking for homes, she was on fire. She was like, oh, let me lead you to this. So
And didn't she lead you
she
to
did.
all of your homes?
No, she led me to the first 2, and then I started becoming a professional off of her, and telling her. And yes, she'd come with me to look, but I was already telling her, look at this house. I want you to come and see this house with me. And it's like taking a kid to the candy store. She was so excited.
Yeah. And that's deep, because I think it runs in my blood with me now being a realtor. And then I took the staging course. And then you and I, we go for, when I have sellers, we go and transform the homes.
And that's the other eye she had of beauty. All her homes were beautiful, and she had an eye for antiques. And she'd always say, just because it's old doesn't mean it's an antique. And now, through all my homes and decorating, and even my sister, an eye for beauty. And that's, I think how we work together on your staging. Yeah, just to have an eye for it. And people thought that, oh, did you who'd come to my house to visit who didn't know me? Maybe a friend brought them and said, oh, who designed your home, or who decorated your home? And I said, I did. And a lot of people have difficulty. So I got that from Mama too, learning the setup of a really nice home.
Yes. Let's talk more about, I want to hear more, and we don't have to focus too much on it, but do you remember when she purchased the home on Laurel?
Yes, I was 12 years old.
Because that home is worth like $1 million now.
Well, back when she bought it, the government had the dollar sale going on historic homes. And you had to have it.
An auction?
No, it was a purchase for $1, but you had 5 years to bring it up to code.
Oh.
Who knew how much that was going to cost you? And you had 5 years to do it. But Mama didn't go that route. She bought the house for $14,000. That's what it was going for. And I want to say she probably put maybe $250,000, I think, when I was calculating, of all the work she put into it.
Yeah, it was just beautiful.
It was beautiful.
Yes.
And it was great because, that was her winter home. And then we were driving in the country one day, and she saw this property this farmland out by...
Afton?
Yeah, but what was that? I forgot that nursery.
Bailey's nursery?
Bailey's, yes, it was out there. And she said, I want to buy that. Well, she was a farm girl growing up, yes, the way she did. So, of course, give it to Mama. She deserves it. And she got that home, and that was her summer home. And boy, she was at she was in La La Land when she would know it's time to head out there in the summer.
And did she have La Cucaracha at the same time?
Yes, she did.
So she had that before. So tell me a little bit more about that. What are your memories of her starting that up?
She worked like a horse. And we were, she really didn't need employees because we were her troop. She had 7 kids, so we were all trained. And she never had a restaurant, but she was smart. She knew how to teach us and what jobs we had and what we were capable of. So we start at the bottom and you work your way up. And I think that's the truth in life. You can't, if you're given the silver cup, you're missing the whole fun of getting there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Share, what's one of your fondest memories as a child in the restaurant?
Oh God, the spirits that would be floating around. I'm just kidding. People say they'd hear things when it's closed.
I heard that. Still to this day.
And Mama would embrace it because she was into like all kinds of spirituality.
Yeah, but what was like your favorite meal? Because I know Mama was, she was busy.
You want to talk about food? Now that's a whole nother podcast.
Your favorite, as a little girl, share what your favorite meal was, because I remember what it was. You said it was your...
Oh, it was, I was a little girl, and I could not have a hot plate because I was too little. And the Mama would put the enchiladas on a plate, and then they go into a broiler. And so she'd always just roll me up like a little taquito or something like that because I can pick it up with my hands. But I wanted to be a big girl. I wanted the hot plate with the cheese enchiladas. So one day she made me, I must have been like 5 years old. She made me a cheese enchilada. Mm-hmm. And she brought it to me at the table and said, "It's really hot. Do not burn yourself." And then we had one of those long Coca-Cola coolers behind our bar, which was not liquor. It was a eat bar. And my dad was behind there, and I wanted an Orange Crush pop. And back when Orange Crush came in this kind of bubbly glass bottle. And my dad was going to take it out and open it, like on the machine had the crack bottle opener. And I said, no, I want to get my pop out. So he lifted me up so I could dig into the cooler to get my Crush Pop. And I wanted to open it myself, but he had to help me. And then I went to sit down, and I thought I was the biggest queen that day because I had my cheese enchilada and my Orange Crush. And that is like a memory forever. Aww. And now I do it almost the same way. Except for I have maybe like 2 cheese enchiladas instead of an
Orange Pop, you have your tequila or margarita, no?
Yeah, probably a mango margarita or something.
Oh, that's so cute. Yep, that's the mark of your independence. That's where it all started. So let's talk about you becoming a homeowner. So when you became a homeowner yourself, what did that moment mean to you, especially coming from a line of women who owned property?
Wow. Well, it was huge because I got to give all my children their own bedroom, their own backyard.
And I remember that as a child when you purchased your first home over on White Bear Avenue, and there were a lot of children that lived in apartments or even rented homes, and then when they just loved to come over our house.
Yeah.
That was...
Yes, to be able to do whatever you'd like to do, but definitely it's a moment of putting down your signature and the money, and knowing, being able to pay it.
Right. Were there any challenges along the way in buying a property? Did you face anything during that time?
No, I didn't. Like I said, if you're gonna buy what you're capable. Well, I will say some people try to overextend, but I didn't do that. I knew from Mama's views that little by little, don't rush it. Don't take on too much. You don't want to be sorry for something.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's talk about business. Okay, you were home and now, you're a businesswoman.
I am retired.
Well, let's talk about your retail building. You know, it's you have reputable tenants. It's fully leased, and it's also a staple in the Crocus Hill community. What inspired you to take that step into commercial property ownership?
Well, it was actually a joint venture with my brother and my sister, who are partners, and my brother passed away. But that came through Mama for sure. Of if the opportunity is there, let's take it. And it was a great opportunity at the time when we were offered that building.
Okay. How did it feel to manage tenants and run that kind of business over the years?
It's been well, the tenants, all of them have been there for years and years, and part of it is calling them by their name. They're just not a number. And I think as you get to know who your renters are, giving them the respect, you get that respect.
Right.
So it's easy to work, or when someone's going through a difficult time. If they can't make it, I think they would leave. But they were able, and not all of them always needed it, but it's worked out. So I think I would be that way no matter what other properties. I think people just need a little more respect or recognizing them.
Okay. As a Mexican American woman in business, what lessons have you learned that you want others to know? I would even think not just others, but other women in business or other
Exactly.
Hispanic women in business, because there's barriers.
You know what, I think for women in general, we're powerful as long as you've done your homework and you know what where you're going, what do you need. I haven't had problems being a Mexican woman in business, and maybe it's because the longevity of where the restaurant's been so long, being in the area, being raised in Summit Hill, having Crocus Hill is, that's people know you after all this time. So it's never really been a disappointment.
Great. That's good. All right. Well, when you look at everything you've built, your home, your commercial property, your family, what are you most proud of?
You.
I'm the firstborn,
And what am I proud? Oh, my grandkids. It's like they're still learning, and their eyes are open.
And they're also different.
Yeah. Even we're all different. Even people say, "Oh,
well, you and I are a lot alike." I'm like you, because but
and I'm like my mother.
See, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, as children, because I have 6 other siblings, we're all different. And people say, "Oh, you're so different from this one, and you're different from that one." And I said, "Well, because we're all individuals. We're all under the same roof, and how we take our studies, we're not all 100% the same." So, what was the question again?
Well, it was just looking at everything you've built. What are you most proud of?
Okay, so that I've been able to have the money I have for future investment that will help my grandchildren, and it was through hard work. You got to, nothing comes to us. I should say nothing's laid on our lap. But like I said, if you do the homework and you stay diligent, great things can happen.
Yes. So speaking of future of your grandchildren, but I would just say the future generations of our family, what do you hope for our future generations of our family to carry forward from your story? And not even just your story, but from your parents and your grandparents' story.
Well, respect for all the generations is number one, but the future for when I look at my young grandchildren, who knows? Who knows what's coming in our world? Because when you were reading the beginning story of my grandparents being put on a truck to be taken.
No, they weren't going to get. They tried, but
Yeah,
your Papa wasn't having it.
When they were trying, you're
Yes.
right. But when they were trying to put all the Mexicans back on the truck, that's happening today.
Yes.
So where is the future for my grandchildren today?
That's heavy.
It
It's
is
true.
It is because I can wish and want, but it's this generation now to not give up, and that's for all these young children of all races to build their future here in the America, because this is the melting pot. We were all welcomed here. We came from everywhere.
Yes.
And we should be able to stay here and build even a bigger and better future, because we didn't have all this internet and the world changing through that changing that way. So
Yes.
it would just be it'd be fabulous for the best wishes and prayers for this young generation to succeed in whatever they choose.
Absolutely. If you can leave one message for young Hispanic women in Minnesota about home ownership and building wealth, what would it be?
Home ownership.
Yeah, if you just leave one message.
So here,
in building,
well, here's what I think. I'm not sure, like I said, just speaking of, like I said, about the future, I'm not sure home ownership is on the top of the list.
Tell me more.
I think, I want to say that I think that investing, if they could choose, because the credit card deal thing with the U.S. is credit. If this younger generation could start investing now, and not think of investing in a home which you don't really own, and all that money and interest that you would be paying as a young 20-something-year-old, I would spend my 20s investing all my money.
In what?
Well, again, who knows what our future is bringing here? So it's hard to say. But maybe in the next few years, if we can see things change, then you'll know where to be investing.
Right.
And I'm one of the believers now, as I've gotten older, that it's in gold, and it's
What you were mentioning something about, like that compound interest.
Compound interest.
Too.
Yes.
Well, we might have to do once you get more information on that and you do that, we'll do another podcast on that. But one thing I want listeners to know about is that it's not just, you don't have to just invest in home ownership. There's some people that say, I would like to invest in maybe rental properties or in land, because land always just appreciates.
True that.
So it doesn't have to. Home ownership is not for everybody, but it's one of I think real estate in general is something that people look at that they can leave on through generations.
And definitely, but as a youngster, I would start small if you want to get a rental property, and grow from that. Definitely.
Right. So, Beans, what does your next chapter look like, and what do you see yourself in your properties in the years to come?
That's a good one. But I'm a little tongue-tied there right now. There's so much that I envision still.
Yeah, because you were saying that you were probably wanting to just go to, what was it, Spain for a while or something for 6 months and travel, because you've always been so busy
I've never
business.
really taken a month or more trip,
Mm-hmm.
but yes, we did talk about Italy, Greece, and Spain, and that would be like maybe 3 weeks in each place. Um, that's the fun side. The other thing is looking at more investing.
And you want to let folks know too. I'm your personal realtor as well. So
Yes, yes, you are. So, depending on another home, some more, well, definitely some property, putting money into some other, for sure, um, marketing of money. There's you don't want to rush that. You really don't. When you're holding on to a lot of money, you want to make the right choice.
absolutely,
And then find out how much you have to pay Uncle Sam later.
yes, always. Speaking of choices, I just wanted you to share. You could have chosen your realtor, and especially like I'm from experience with friends and family. Sometimes they don't choose the ones that are closest to them because of things can get personal. Can you just share with me and with everyone why did you trust me and choose me as your realtor?
Wow, she's really putting Mom on the spot right now.
No, because I was, I
Well, you know
honored
what?
that because you've had realtors in the past and
Yeah.
business, you have other people you do business with. So I was honored that you chose
Because
me.
you do your homework and you're persistent with your homework and you're persistent as you climb the ladder, as you're running over little mountains and
Yeah.
you're always just like, oh no, this ain't no stopping me now. So I love the energy. I love energy of people who are like you.
Well,
So
thank you. Well, Mom, thank you for sharing your story. You show what it means to build a legacy, and not just in business, but in community and culture. So, wrapping up Hispanic Heritage Month, I hope your story, reminds listeners, excuse me, that home ownership and business and family isn't just about, property, but it's about pride and perseverance and passing something meaningful down. So I want to give you an applause. And do you have any closing remarks or anything to say before we end this podcast? Think about it, because I don't want you to be like, oh, shoot, I should have said that all.
well, I made a great pot of black beans yesterday, and I think I'm gonna look forward to making a little black bean quesadilla when we're done here.
Yum, see, that's why they call her Beans. Oh, don't knock down the mic here. Well, thanks for tuning in to Keys to Real Estate with the House Lady. And be sure to subscribe, share this episode, and celebrate the incredible Hispanic women who continue to shape our communities through legacy and love. And stay tuned for the next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Keys to Real Estate with the House Lady. I hope today's episode gave you some valuable takeaways to guide you on your journey. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share it with someone who might find it helpful. And remember, whether you're here in Minnesota or anywhere else, I can connect you with a trusted realtor through my national and international network. Until next time, I'm Estrella Carter, the House Lady, helping you live your best life, one key at a time.